Performance challenge. This is week 13. And we'll look at the Q&A first. We have a huge class today with the Stella and myself in here. That's it. We've already gone over the SAC pack for week 13 since we didn't have a payday last week. Lots of numbers in there. If you'll just take a minute to practice some of those numbers, whether you use the number bar or not. And then let's start with the Q&A. And we'll go all the way through it, Estella, even though it'll go a little bit past where yours was. Okay. State your name for the record, comma, please. My name is Jane P. Clark. Would you state your address for the record? Question mark or period?
I have question mark.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, okay. 1010 Green Street. And is this in the city of New York? Yes, comma, sir. Are you married? Question mark. Yes, comma, sir, I am. Oh, you all can see my Fiesta fingernails on there. What is your husband's name? Apostrophe S. Bill Clark. All right. And I just remember one of my college professors saying that all right is always two words because there's not an all wrong. So if you can remember that, sometimes we see all right, A-L-R-I-G-H-T, but it's two words because there's not a word all wrong. All right, how old are you? I'm not sure that you needed a period there. It could have been all right, comma, or all right, semicolon probably would be better.
I think it's always period.
Is it always a period?
I don't. If I'm not mistaken, it might be, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. I am 25 years old, and we have the figure there. And what is your date of birth? It is March 14, comma, 1977. Did you graduate from high school? Question mark. That's correct. Apostrophe S. Do you have any children? This one's front and back on my key. Yes, comma, sir. I have 5 children. And we have it spelled out. Okay. You understand the court reporter is taking down your testimony. Semicolon. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. Apostrophe S. Please speak out loud and clear so the court reporter will be able to hear you. I will. Do you recall the accident we are here about today? Question mark. Yes, comma, sir. Do you remember the accident? Yes, comma, sir. Okay. What day of the week did the accident happen? I don't recall. Do you remember if it was on a weekend? It could have been. The police report says it was on a Saturday. Is that right? Did you put a semicolon there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is right. Do you recall the time of the accident? It was about 5:30 p.m. Where were you coming from? I was coming from work. And where were you going? I was going home. Tell us, comma, if you can, comma, what street you were on. I was on Lime Avenue. What lane were you in? I was in the right-hand lane at the time of the accident. Hyphenated right hand. Okay. How close was the other car? I don't know. How far? And on the 160 we left off the word away. But on all of the other PCs, the word away is in there. How far away were you from the other car? I don't know. How fast were you driving? I don't remember. Could you tell us about how far you were from the stoplight? I was approximately 100 yards. And we have our figure there for the 100. How far was that from the scene of the accident? I don't know. Would you tell us how the accident happened? I was slowing down for a red light. And what happened? The car behind me ran into the back of my car. Did you see the car before the accident? No, comma, sir. Were there witnesses at the scene of the accident? How many times have we heard scene of the accident? And this one, was that just great? Yes, sir. Do you know their names? No, comma, sir. Why not? Because the police officer took the information. What did the police officer tell you? He asked if I was all right, another all right in there. And what did you tell him? I told him I had a bad headache. Did you hit your head on something? What's wrong with mine?
Did you hit your head on something? Oh, question.
Yeah, should be a question mark there. I hit my head on the steering wheel. Did an ambulance come to the scene of the accident? Again, that brief scene of the accident. That's correct, apostrophe yes. Did the ambulance take you to the hospital? Yes, comma, sir. Were you knocked out? I don't remember. Did you speak to anyone at the scene of the accident? I spoke to the policeman. How many policemen were at the scene of the accident? So we have man and then men in the next one. I think 3 police cars came. And I marked the 3 because we were not being consistent in here. This one really should be spelled out because we see another number later on that is spelled out that I think is the number 10. So be consistent. The rule is 10 or above, you use the figure. Isn't that what your rule is?
1 through 10 you write out, I think.
Right.
And then above.
And then
above
use
the figure.
the figure. Okay. Did you see the other driver there? I don't recall. Did you talk to him? No. The police officer said he left the scene of the accident. Another scene of the accident. Did you ever have any other accidents? No, sir. Were you ever injured before? No, sir. Will you tell us the name of your doctor? It is Dr. Dan Jones. Could you tell us how many times you saw him? I don't remember. Was it more than 10 times? Figure or spelled out?
Should be spelled.
I don't recall. Do you recall how much time you spent in the hospital? I believe it was 10 days. Do you know what they did for you? I don't remember at this time. Do you remember whether or not it was dark at the time of the accident? Yes, it was. Did you see the other driver? In my rear view mirror, hyphenated rear view. Was it a man or a woman? It was a woman. The configuration in this room is not the best with leaning over this little machine. Was anybody else in the car with her?
Wait.
Another?
Wait. Is there another page?
Oh, wait, there is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. No, it was a woman.
Where were you? It was a woman. Okay, that page
Did we
is
do
which
that one?
Okay, it was a woman.
It was a woman.
And then I have here, as a matter of fact, the police officer said you do not have your seatbelt on. Oh, a page was
Oh.
skipped.
They skipped that page. Your test was probably actually shorter than it should have been. But, did you pass it?
No.
Oh yeah, they left out page 7. Okay. I don't know whether on any of the other tests, the page 7 was read, so let's just at least
Okay.
show that to everybody
Okay.
if they're watching the video. Okay. I don't think there was anything on there. I just marked this semicolon on that one. Oh yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions and answers that were deleted on yours. All right, so now we're on page 8. As a matter of fact, the police officer said you did not have your seatbelt on. Is that correct? Semicolon there. I don't know. Did you have your glasses on? That's right. Have you ever been in an accident before this? I don't believe I have. How many miles per hour were you traveling? About 5 miles per hour. What should we have done with the 5? Did your test go that far?
Yeah, I did. I
Did you
put
put
mine
the
as
figure?
5 hyphen miles. I probably did it wrong either way, but I don't know.
Oh, shouldn't be hyphenated
No,
there.
okay.
A 5-mile limit
Would have been.
would have been hyphenated. But this one should have been spelled out, just like this one.
Okay.
How long have you had a driver's license? Remember, it's apostrophe S on driver's license. Since I was 16 years old, figure. Now, sometimes you'll see this hyphenated if we say a 16-year-old girl, then we would hyphenate it because it's before the noun. Have you ever had a problem with your driver's license? Not to my knowledge. Just a minute. As a matter of fact, you have been stopped for speeding. Is that correct? Just a minute. How'd you write it?
I didn't get.
Did
I
yours
stopped.
go that far?
I stopped
Okay.
at.
If you were listening to this and you might have said, just a minute, dash, because there might have just been a pause before it continued. As a matter of fact, now we're stating you have been stopped for speeding. Is that correct? So it could have had a dash there, depending on what you heard. No, I have never been stopped by the police at that time. It sounds like it's getting just a little heated there. Will you be able to bring us your doctor's records, apostrophe S? Yes, sir, I will. How much damage was done to your car? I can't recall. It was over $2,000. As a result of the accident, did you lose time off from work? That's correct. How much time did you lose from work? About 6 weeks, another number, and it is spelled out. Are you still having some problems? Yes. I still get very bad headaches. Did you ever have headaches before the accident? Of course, but just once in a while. Anything else that still bothers you? Well, they kept me in the hospital for 10 days doing tests on my brain. And what was your condition? The doctor said I could have some brain damage. Was the damage as a result of the accident? You need to go to 50. That's right. Did the ambulance take you to the hospital as soon as possible? I don't recall. I was knocked out. Maybe a semicolon there. Those are mighty short sentences. All right. Do you have to continue seeing the doctor? Yes, sir. Will you be able to return to work? I don't know. So we should have stopped at 50 there. Boy, that was something getting shorted 8 Q&As, right? All right, let's look at the lit next. I just want to make sure we're still recording. Since you're up there and I'm way over here.
We are.
All right, the lit. It could be the greatest single problem that people have today is what I would call time poverty. And that was one of your preview words, and I think you were given the quotation marks. Remember, the period is always inside the quotation marks, as well as the comma. Working people have too much to do and too little time for their own lives. Most people feel overwhelmed with all the things that they have going on. The harder they work, comma, the more they feel behind. This sense of never being able to catch a breath can cause you to fall into a funny way of living. Instead of being able to decide what you want to do, comma, you are always reacting to what is happening around you, period. Pretty soon you lose all sense of control, period. You feel that your life is running you, comma, rather than you running your life. On a regular basis, comma, you have to stand back and look at yourself and what you are doing, period. You have to stop the clock and do some serious thinking about who you are and where you are going, period. You have to look at all your activities in the light of what is really important to you, period. You must get control of your time rather than becoming a slave to what demands are always being made on your time. Taking action without thinking is a cause of every failure. Your ability to think is the most valuable trait that you have, period. If you improve the quality of your thinking, comma, you improve the quality of your life. Many times it does not take long for this to happen, period. And we have a new paragraph. Time is your most precious asset, period. It is the most important thing you have, period. It can be lost. Did you punctuate that any differently there?
No.
With a period?
After have is a period, and after loss is a period.
Okay. It also cannot be replaced or saved. The only action you have is to decide to put things in their proper order of importance in your life, period. All work requires time. Time is very important for the relationships you have in your life, period. The very act of taking a moment to think about your time before you spend it will help you improve how your time goes day by day. Now you might see day by day hyphenated in another situation, day by day event. It has to have the noun following it. When I was younger, comma, I never saw the importance of having time, period. It seemed like I had all that I needed, period. As I got older, comma, I saw the importance of making each moment count, period. New paragraph on here. In your work or business life, comma, there are so many demands on your time from other people that very little of your time is yours to use as you choose. However, comma, at home and in your personal life, you can have all the control you want to use over that time. It is in this area that I want to focus. The new paragraph. The way that you use your own time begins with you. It begins with your thinking through what is really important to you in life, period. It only makes sense if you work that time around specific things that you want to do. You need to set goals in 3 major areas of your life, period. The number there, 3. Spell it out. First, comma, you need family and personal goals. These are the reasons why you get up in the morning, comma, why you work hard and work on your skills. Did you put a comma between the hard and there?
Work hard. No.
Comma, and work on your skills.
No.
I think you could put a comma there.
I put a period before why.
These are the reasons why you get up in the morning.
Where are we?
Well, but you don't have a complete sentence there.
Yeah,
do you?
you're
You
right.
have a question.
Why you work? Yeah. That's
Why?
That's a good word.
Well, I think you need the, why do you work hard? Okay,
No, you're right. It was just a
yeah.
mistake on
I
my
think
part.
a comma there. These are why you worry about money and sometimes feel frustrated by the demands made on your time. I just made the paragraph simple here because we started the list again with the second, and we started with a new paragraph. Even though it was a short sentence, it's a paragraph by itself. The second, see where we had the first in this one? First, we're right here. And you know, you maybe could have put first as a new paragraph all by itself, and then had the new paragraph for the second, and then a new paragraph for the third. The second area of goals are your business and career goals. The third, and new paragraph, the third type of goals are your personal development goals. You must build yourself up if you want to build your life, period. Perhaps the greatest secret of success is that you can become anything you really want to become, period. You can achieve any goal that you really want to achieve, period. In order to do it, comma, you must go to work on yourself and never stop. There's a class in here until about 11.
Okay.
And let's start right here. You can achieve any goal that you really want to achieve, period. In order to do it, comma, you must go to work on yourself and never stop. New paragraph. Once you have a list of all the goals in your life, comma, then you can put them into an order of priority, period. You must decide on the most important things that you could possibly be doing to give yourself all you want in life, period. New paragraph. The fact is that your calendar is full, period. You have no spare time, period. Your time is very valuable, period. All very short sentences. Did yours go that far?
No.
Okay. Let's just finish so everybody else can see it. Therefore, comma, for you to do anything new, comma, you will have to stop doing something old, period. In order to get into something, you will have, you always have people that come in here, or are they gone?
Sometimes.
To get out of something else, period. In order to pick something up, comma, you will have to put something down, period. New paragraph. If you are not careful, comma, the hard times will push out the soft times, period. What that really means is that a hard time, comma, such as working, comma, will push out a soft time, comma, such as the time you spend with your family, period. If you don't get your work done at the office, comma, you will have to rob that time from your family, period. As a result, comma, because of the fact that your family is very important to you, comma, you find yourself in a values conflict. You become stressed and irritable. Would you have written that word any differently?
Any values? Conflict? Oh, no. Could you have, what would you do, apostrophe
Do you think it could be a
S?
possessive?
It could be.
Values conflict? I know, I think it could be too, right here. As you were going back through and editing it, I don't think you would have written it as a possessive as you were writing it, but when you edited, you might have changed it. You become stressed and irritable, period. You feel a good deal of pressure, period. There's a class in here until 11. You know in your heart that you should be spending more time with the important people in your life, comma, but because you did not get your work done, comma, you have to finish that job before you spend time with your spouse and children, period. What is the answer to this? Question mark. I think the most important thing to do would be to concentrate hard when you are at work on what needs to be done, period. Since you can only do one thing at a time, comma, you must arrange your life so that you are doing the one important thing at every moment. I like the story behind this one.
Yeah.
Just setting those goals, setting those priorities, and, you know, it says just to do one thing at a time. I think sometimes we get less done when we try to multitask. I was kind of caught up in the story of, bless you,
Thank you.
as I was grading that one, because it was a good one. All right, let's look at the jury charge. Members of the jury, the evidence in this case is, I think she changed it to done, did she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In a moment, I will read you the law which you must apply in order to reach your verdict. Did you put a comma after a name?
Excuse me. Yes.
You did, okay. And I think you could. And again, it's as you hear it, because if there was a pause there, you would have put a comma. This doesn't show a comma. But first, comma, I want to mention a few things that you need to keep in mind when you are discussing this case in the jury room. New paragraph. It is my job to decide what rules of law apply to the case, period. While the lawyers may have commented during the trial on some of these rules, comma, you are to be guided by what I say about them. Did you separate during the trial?
No.
You left it altogether. Okay. You must follow all the laws as I explained it to you. Oh, I'm sorry, all the law. Period. Even if you disagree or don't understand the reasons for some of the rules, comma, you must follow them. Period. No single instruction describes all the law which must be applied. Period. Therefore, comma, these instructions must be considered together as a whole. New paragraph. Stop me if you have anything that's different, okay? So, during the course of the trial, you received all of the evidence that you may properly consider to decide the case. Your decision must be made by applying the rules of law which I give you to the evidence presented in trial, period. Neither sympathy or prejudice should influence your decision, period. If you decide that the state has, did you capitalize state?
I meant to, but I didn't. Is it capitalized here?
It's not capitalized in my key, but
I
when we
would've-
refer to the state in a jury charge, it's usually capitalized, isn't it?
It varies sometimes, but I meant to go back and do it, but I knew I didn't
Okay.
pass it, so I left it alone.
Because we're talking about this specific case in the state here. The state has proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant has committed the crime as charged, comma. It will be my job to decide what the punishment might be, period. It should not enter into your consideration at any time. New paragraph. At times during the trial, and I think there should be a comma there, lawyers made objections to questions asked by other lawyers and to answers by witnesses. Did you insert a comma there?
No. But I
By
got this all
other
jumbled up.
lawyers.
But I got it all jumbled up, so I wouldn't.
Oh, you
yeah.
did? Okay. I think that comma should stay there. Do not draw any conclusions from such objections or from my rulings on the objection. No punctuation in there. These only relate to the legal questions that I had to determine and should not influence your thinking, period. When I told you not to consider a particular statement, you were to put that statement out of your mind, comma, and you may not consider any statement in your deliberations which you were instructed to disregard. Did you insert a comma there? Did you get that sentence? When I told you not to consider a particular statement,
Period, comma.
comma, I think,
That's what I did.
you were to put that statement. Yeah. New paragraph. Sometimes in the trial, I have asked questions of witnesses, period. When I asked questions, comma, that did not indicate I had any opinion about the facts in the case. Finally, comma, you should consider all the evidence in the light of your observations and experience in life, period. The defendant is charged with committing the crime of possession of a controlled substance in the city and county of Denver, comma, state of Colorado. We have a comma there. I don't think you need any punctuation. I'm not sure, maybe that was just in parentheses because we gave you that word, those words as the proper names. On or about July 18, 2012, period. The defendant has pleaded not guilty. New paragraph. The information is a mere accusation against the defendant, comma, and it is not in itself any evidence of the guilt of the defendant, comma, and no juror should permit himself or herself to be influenced to any extent, comma, however slight, comma, against the defendant because of or on account of filing of such information. One paragraph, one very long sentence. I don't think you could punctuate that any differently. New paragraph. Each person charged with a crime is presumed innocent, period. This presumption of innocence remains with the defendant throughout the trial and should be given effect by you unless, comma, after considering all of the evidence, comma, you are then convinced that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. New paragraph. The burden of proof is upon the prosecution to prove to the satisfaction of the jury, beyond a reasonable doubt, the existence of all of the elements necessary to constitute the crime charged. Did you punctuate any differently than here?
No, that's all juggled up for me.
Is it? Beyond a reasonable doubt, I think could have been separated with a comma there. Satisfaction of the jury, beyond a reasonable doubt, the existence, there's a little pause there, of the elements necessary to constitute the crime charged. New paragraph. Reasonable doubt means a doubt based upon reason and common sense which arises from a fair and rational consideration of all of the evidence, comma, or the lack of evidence, comma, in the case, period. It is a doubt which is not a vague, comma, speculative or imaginary doubt, comma, but such a doubt as would cause reasonable people to hesitate to act in matters of importance to themselves. The 120 probably stopped right there. If you find from the evidence that each and every element has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, comma, you will find the defendant guilty. If you find from the evidence that the prosecution has failed to prove any one or more of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt, you will find the defendant not guilty. Comma.
I would have put a comma there.
I know. Me too. Because there was even a pause as I was just reading it to you. You may have to decide what testimony to believe. You should carefully consider all of the testimony given and the circumstances under which each witness has testified. I think the hardest part about grading the test is the punctuation. New paragraph. Consider each witness's, apostrophe S, knowledge, comma, motive, comma, state of mind, comma, demeanor, comma, and manner while on the stand. Consider the witness's, apostrophe S, means of knowledge, comma, ability to observe, comma, and strength of memory. Good list to practice if you go back and watch the video, period. Consider also any relationship each witness may have to either side of the case, semicolon, the manner or period. The manner in which each witness might be affected by the verdict. Oh no, I think it is all semicolons because it's a much longer list. Semicolon, semicolon, and the extent to which, comma, if at all, comma, each witness is either supported or contradicted by other evidence in the case. I don't know that I would have taken off if you had a comma separating all of those. Did yours go that far?
No.
Okay. You should consider all the facts and circumstances shown by the evidence which affects the credibility of the witness's testimony, apostrophe S. You may believe all of the testimony of a witness, comma, or part of it, comma, or none of it. And it should go to 50. Let's look at the rest of this. The mere number of witnesses appearing for or against a certain proposition does not, in or of itself, prove or disprove that proposition. New paragraph. There are two types of evidence from which you may, we're not active enough in here. That's why they went off. There are two types of evidence from which you may properly find the truth as to the facts of a case, period. One is direct evidence, period. The other is circumstantial evidence, semicolon. That is, the proof of facts from which other facts may reasonably be inferred. The law makes no distinction between direct and circumstantial evidence. New paragraph. The defendant is never made to testify, comma, and the fact that he does not, cannot be used as an inference of guilt and should not prejudice him in any way. New paragraph. A crime is committed when the defendant has committed a voluntary act prohibited by law, accompanied by a culpable mental state. Voluntary act means an act performed consciously as a result of effort or determination. Culpable mental state, do you have a brief for that? I know you didn't hear that, because yours didn't go that far, but it's in here about 3 times. If you heard it 3 times and you didn't have a brief, could you come up with a brief quickly when you heard it again? Okay. Culpable mental state means knowingly, as explained in this instruction, period. Proof of the commission of the act alone is not sufficient to prove that the defendant had the required culpable mental state, period. The culpable mental state is as much an element of a crime as the act itself and must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. How many times did we say that? Culpable mental state, culpable mental state, culpable mental state, culpable mental state.
4 in the same
4
paragraph.
in that same paragraph. So when you hear something like that, and the first time it may stump you, but then try to come up with a brief quickly. Just think fast on your feet or in front of your machine to come up with a brief. I wouldn't try to stroke it each time.
In that instance where it's all in one paragraph, I probably would have bombed it with that.
Do what?
Where it's all in one paragraph like that,
Uh-huh.
I probably would not have had enough time to figure it out. You see, it's culpable mental state.
I
And then
know.
by the time it come up again, I'd be like,
Uh-huh.
I'd be trying to catch up. So no, in that instance right there with all those in that one paragraph,
Uh-huh.
I probably wouldn't have been able to.
And that wasn't one of the words that we gave you on that test. So here, this one might have thrown you off the first time. Where did we hear it the first time? Right there.
Maybe, but maybe I would have gotten it. I don't know. I might.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
should-
mental
Wish
state.
you had your machine.
Because mental state isn't that hard. Culpable might throw you,
Yeah.
but I might have done cup. And then
Right.
that would have thrown me off.
Something, and then you could have inserted that later. Hey. Turn off the recorder and then we can talk a little more. I didn't know this would even work without the light on.
Yeah.
I always use the light in my counting class. If you have questions or comments, those of you that are listening online, just contact me. This is Mrs. Mallon.